Have you ever sat down, clicked that record button on your camera and just made a whole entire video without realizing that there's no SD card within that camera recording your footage? No? Just me? Well, if you think you can trust a guy like that teaching you how to do frequency separation in Photoshop, then this is the video for you, fam. This is it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miles at Miles of Color, everywhere online, and today we are learning frequency separation in Photoshop, and I am a little nervous about this one because I haven't actually taught myself how to manually go in and create my own Photoshop. Yeah, Miles, that's a great line. Create my own frequency separation action, technically, in Photoshop, so that's something we're gonna try doing today. And I'm really excited to teach you guys how to use frequency separation the way I use it. And keep in mind, before we hop into this, everyone uses frequency separation a little bit differently. There are a million ways to do one thing. That is my approach, and some are just a little more efficient than others. Today we're gonna hop in, we're going to edit skin. I'm going to be using my XP Pen Deco 01. This is my first ever editing tablet. I can do a review on it if you guys want. It's pretty good, except right here you can see I kind of wore off my pen a little bit when I started learning local dodge and burn. That's a whole other video we can get into in the future. So please, before we get started, keep in mind that everyone does frequency separation differently. So I'm gonna teach you the way I do it. If you hate it, that's totally fine. You can click on this video. But if you are interested and if you want to learn how I do it specifically, then without further ado, let's hop into this thing. Okay, so this is the photo that I have selected for this tutorial. This is a photo of my friend Twee at BBTwee on Instagram. She is styled by her own company, Retro and Groovy, which is a really cool brand where she repurposes clothes and sells them. She's also a film photographer, and just check out her whole website and her Instagrams. They're amazing. She's so dope, and she agreed to let me do a frequency separation video with this picture that we took together. So as you can see right now, the only thing I have in Photoshop is this background layer, and that's just what we're gonna start with here. And before we get started with the actual frequency separation part, it's important that you understand what frequency separation is, even though I hardly understand what it is. But technically, it is a self-explanatory thing. Frequency separation is the separation of frequencies. So we have a low frequency and a high frequency. That low frequency is, think skin color and skin shadows. And then the high frequency is the texture. So let's use like a blemish for an example, right? A blemish might have some dry skin around it, maybe some redness. So that dry skin, that detail of the dry skin is the high pass layer, and then that redness is on the low pass layer because it is a color slash shadow. So we're going to start right here with this background layer, and we're going to make our own frequency separation group. I typically have an action that I use, but I just want to go in here and actually show you literally how to make it for yourself. So we're going to click Command J. That's going to copy our background, and I'm going to just rename this layer as skin tone. And then I'm going to click Command J on the background layer one more time, drag this guy right on top of skin tone, and we're going to name it texture. That's not how you spell texture, texture. Okay, so for the skin tone layer, we're going to go up to filter, we're going to blur, and then Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur it at 5 pixels. Click OK. So if I'm going to click the eyeball of our texture layer, you can see that this is already nice and blurred. I know you're probably thinking like, why would I need to blur this layer? Just trust me, just like sit tight for a second. Let's see what happens next. For our texture layer, bring that back in here. I'm going to go up to layer, image, actually, apply image. And I'm working in a 16-bit format. So we're going to, and it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around this layer, but basically we're just making a layer of entire just detail, like only the details are shining through on this layer. If anyone has a better way of describing what we're doing down below in the comments, please leave a comment, but this is my basic understanding. This is just the layer of textures. And these are my settings, so I am doing the layer skin tone, the one that we already made. Make sure you have this little invert box clicked. See, if it's not inverted, it's just this. If you click invert, there we go, it's this gray layer. and then channel is RGB, and then blending we're going to go down to add. It's probably going to be normal when you first make it, and it looks crazy, so we're going to click add down here. You should have this nice gray look, and then opacity 100, totally fine. It might say scale 1 for you, and it's going to look very white, so make sure your scale is at 2, and then everything else just leave it as it is. Okay, click OK, and they're going to go down and blend it, so set the blending mode for the layer at linear light. Okay, so scroll down here and look at it's the same exact photo. If I solo the background, so click Alt and click the eye down here, we have the background image, nothing added. That's not the skin tone or the texture image there. And then click it again, it's the same exact thing. Okay, so essentially it looks like you didn't do anything yet because we actually did it, but we're set up to actually start our retouch. So I'm going to click skin tone and then hold the shift button down and click texture as well. I'm going to go down to the bottom options down here and click this folder right here. Boom, that is a group, and I'm going to double click and rename it to frequency separation. However you spell that. Oh my God. Separation. Don't drop out of school, kids. Okay, perfect. So our next step is to mess with the skin tone. So I do one tool on my skin tones that is kind of controversial. A lot of people like to use a clone stamp or a stamp tool or just other methods of patching around skin for this layer, but I like to use the mixer brush. And before we do anything, let's just flatten out this layer right here and go to adjustments, make a black and white layer, and then make a curves layer, okay? Go back to layers, and so basically I'm doing this so I can actually see the shadows and the highlights a little bit better. So I'm going to click right here and drag down in this bottom quadrant here, and then I'm going to click right here and drag up. That's going to add a nice amount of contrast. I'm going to group these together as well and just call this black and white. We're not going to keep this, but it's going to be pretty helpful for when we're editing. I'm gonna fix that just a little bit. I don't need it so dark. Okay, awesome. Now we're going back to our skin tone, and here is my mixer brush settings. So my mixer brush is making sure I'm not pulling color from anywhere. I'm simply just mixing things in. So I make sure it is clean after every time I'm using it. So click this little guy right here, set it to custom. Make sure this is unticked or else you're going to be spreading a color around. My hardness is at 0%, then wet 32, load 24. That's a lot of sexual innuendos near each other. I'm very sorry about that. Mix is 24, flow is 17, and then I have my smoothing to 16. So those are my adjustments right there for my mixer brush. Cool, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and we're going to get started down here. So right off the bat, I'm going to click and drag just to blend shadows in and blend highlights in down here on her chin. So that's what I like to do with my mixer brush. I'm going to click and drag. I guess I should be using my tablet since I have one. I'm just so used to my mouse at this point. And you can already kind of see it working out. Do you see that difference already? So we're basically smoothing out our shadows and our colors. And you can do this at your own discretion. Like, you are definitely not locked into doing this the same way I'm doing it. I am a very heavy-handed retoucher, so I don't expect everyone to be doing retouch the same way that I do. I'm very inspired by digital artists who do like paintings and stuff like that of like Disney characters or very like sci-fi cool anime stuff. So I'm more inspired by stuff like that. I'm not trying to get an overly realistic look. I'm trying to make it something that I can kind of turn into a canvas where I can make my own drawing on her skin by adding some makeup and stuff like that. So here we are so far. There's the before and after of that low pass. Let me click the black and white and zoom out. Okay, so this is what we're getting so far. It's nice and smooth, my bad. It's nice and smooth. It might be a little too smooth, but I'm just doing this for the tutorial so you can get a general idea of how I would be going about this. Now let's hop in here and let's correct some texture. So I'm going to zoom in, and I see a little problematic area right here. I see this hair right here I want to get rid of. She has amazing skin. I just want to say that right off the bat. So this is like, I don't even know why I picked her photo now looking at it closer because her skin's so good, but you guys will generally see how I would go about this retouch. So for retouching, I like to use the healing brush. That's right here. Make sure you're not using the spot healing, but just the regular healing brush. I have my hardness set to 0, and I'm going to be doing this on normal mode right now, but I do like to mess around with the darken and lighten layers, which I will talk to you about in just a second here. So I can stop moving Photoshop around everywhere. Jeez. Click on your texture layer here, make sure it's highlighted, or else you're gonna get some wacky results, or at least not the results you're looking for. You're going to click Alt or Option, sample part of your subject's skin wherever you want to basically copy over the blemish area, and check this out. Now that I have that spot selected, I'm going to paint it in. See, isn't that so cool? This actually might be the right time for me to show you the difference between normal and lighten and all that. So I'm going to click lighten right here, and then I'm going to sample from over here, and there we go. Cool. So we're getting a nice texture. And the texture layer is really tricky because you can go really wrong with it. You can really mess up. So it's important that you're very careful with all your adjustments. I'm going to click on my skin tone one more time, click B, and then make sure we're leveling out these colors. Cool, that looks good to me. I'm going to drag the same color around her cheek into her under eye right here, just to blend in the eye bag just a tiny bit. I'm not getting rid of the textures here, but I am changing the colors a little bit. And just think of, mainly when we're using the mixing brush, we're trying to make transitions very smooth. We're not trying to make rough transitions with our skin, and that's all we're doing right here. I'm covering up this kind of gray area. There we go. A little bit on her nose. I'm doing the same thing over here on her other eye. And you can also see what you're doing if you do the black and white one more time. Just to give yourself a nice idea of what is happening with your shadows and highlights. And then if you don't have to do that too, you can click it again and just do colors. But if you're editing a ton of photos, I highly recommend making that black and white layer, because your eyes are gonna get a little confused by just looking at colors for a super long time. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out and see where we're at. Before, after, that's already looking super clean. She has amazing skin, but it just looks super smooth, like we had a hair and makeup artist just there and perfect lighting. I'm going to go in here and we're going to correct this hair. Click J, and then let's make this brush a little smaller by clicking the left bracket. I want to lighten, so the hair is dark, so we're going to lighten and make sure that the hair goes away. So I'm going to click Alt, sample right next to it, right here, right next to the hair, and we're just going to paint. It's pretty cool, right? And you can see that it's not working entirely well. So I'm actually going to click normal and try that out here. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. So normal can be a little bit more destructive, but if you're doing something like a little bit of hair, it's not a huge deal. I would just suggest switching through darken and lighten to balance out the textures that you're replacing, and then use normal for something like hair or something that is a little bit rough to get rid of. I'm going to get rid of these little black dots on her skin. I think I just found one. Here's another. I can't tell if it's a freckle or not, but I'll just take it out anyways because it's so tiny that I'm just basically giving you examples to look at. We have this hair right here that we can get rid of off of her chin. So J, Alt, paying it out. It's actually really fun. Retouching can be really fun, especially once you get your own rhythm. I'm going to click skin tone one more time, and we're going to get rid of this. Just kind of blend in that shadow in her cheek. Awesome. Cool, looking good. I want to get rid of a few more little strands of hair right here just to make it look a little bit more even. Click J one more time, sample down here. Awesome. That's looking good. Cool. And I think I'm pretty happy with what I'm getting rid of. And like I said, you can do as much or as little as you would like to do with your retouch. Like I said, I'm pretty heavy-handed, so I'm trying to get her skin basically flawless. which it already was, especially to the human eye, but since we're using a camera, we're seeing everything all at once, where if you're just like looking at someone's face in person, you're not going to see as many blemishes and stuff because you're not focused on everything all at once. You're noticing like their eye, their cheeks, their lips, their nose. You're not seeing everything all at once. That's the difference between a camera lens and your eye's lens. Cool, and like I said, we're just blending in things right now. I'm almost done with this low pass layer. Cool. Let's check this out before and after. Nice, that looks really good, really smooth. Cool. Clicking H to move the image around with the hand tool. I'm going to smoothen out a little bit of her neck skin tones as well. Just like long strokes here. This is to show you that you can do it on more than just the face as well. Let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of these little hairs. Cool. This one as well. And you don't have to do this for photos, like every single photo. I just like to go really hard on every photo that I at least publish on my Instagram, because that's like my portfolio, that's my best work, that's the work that I care about the most. So this is how I would go about editing one of my Instagram photos. Perfect. Gorgeous. That looks so good so far. Here's the before and the after. It's just more smooth, guys. That's really all it is so far. All right, coffee break. Let me know down below if you are still watching this video, and also if you would like some gear review videos. I can review my own gear because I kind of want to become a little bit of a gear tech reviewer, because that sounds really fun. Just I love tech, and there's dust on my mouse pad, and yeah, that could be kind of cool to review this tablet, my very first editing tablet. I'm honestly really enjoying it, even though I know it's not the best quality. It's definitely great. It was like $60, so I'm considering doing that. Okay, cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is dodge and burn. This is like a little bonus to the frequency separation video, because this is technically all I would do for skin when it comes to corrections, but now we're going to do some slight enhancements. So I'm going to click Command J on my texture layer here. Boom, and you can see now it's super crunchy. It's like a very, very crisp image. It's a little too crisp. So I'm going to go to opacity and type in 40%. Boom, that's better. It's sharp, but it's not over the top. And I actually do just regular dodge and burn. I'm set to, my brush is at 0 hardness as always, and then range is highlights and 4% for exposure, and this is for dodging. So I'm going to go straight into her eyes and just get some work done over here. So we have catch light in our eyes, which is super dope, because if we enhance our catch light, we don't have to enhance the entire eye so much, because we already have a light coming into it. It's gonna look really cool. So I'm gonna make that brush a little bit smaller with my left bracket, and we are just slowly going over this. You can click the little eye icon right here, just see what's going on. You can see that enhancement. It's very subtle. Cool. And I'm going to make my brush a little bigger by clicking the right bracket, and I'm going to enhance her entire iris right here, just to give it an overall bump. Boom, there we go. I'm going to enhance the whites of her eyes just a little bit. And you can be super detail oriented with the eyes. You can even like go in and spot heal the eyes and take the veins out and everything. I don't always do that. I might do it here with this image if I end up actually posting it. Also, make sure you're always editing next to a wall, because you can just like lean against it and just, you know, just watch the pixels transform and just enjoy what you're doing. It's a great time. Highly recommend getting a wall to edit next to, especially when your girlfriend tells you that she wants to share the desk, so that you have to sit on this side now instead of the middle. If she's watching this, she's gonna get so pissed, but I think it's funny if she's actually watching this. Ali, hi, I love you. Also, guys, while I am doing this, I just want to give you a little update on my life. I am going to be moving out of LA for a while, which is kind of huge. I've been living here for almost a year now, but it's time to move on and get my own apartment. So that's going to be the mission. And if you can see, I just highlighted her little like teardrop right here just to enhance it a little bit. But yeah, so I'm leaving LA. I currently live with one too many people. There's just a lot of us here. I think there's 6 of us right now, and that's totally fine. I love everyone. Everyone's great. There's not like drama or something that I'm moving away from. It's more just like I would like my own space to make YouTube videos all the time, because today I was going to make a YouTube video, but someone was doing laundry, and then my girlfriend lives in the room, so like I didn't want to like kick her out, even though I did. And I don't know, like I need more space to up my production quality this year, because that's really what I want to do. Okay, cool. So here's our eye edit so far. It's pretty intense, not gonna lie. I didn't mean for it to be so intense, but that is how I would edit my eyes with highlights. Cool, and then I would go over here and give her a little bit of a nose highlight. But yeah, so I'm trying to give you guys little life updates in these videos instead of just making a tutorial, because I want to get to know you guys a little bit better. I want you to know me a little bit better and grow a connection. That'll be more fun for me. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay, cool. So that was my highlights so far. I'm going to bring us out of here. You can see it. Keep in mind, this is me just kind of doing things that I typically would do to a photo. So if you don't like parts of it, that's probably because I rushed a little bit through this, but I'm giving you the general ideas of things that I would do to an edit. And this is actually, this is really fun for me. I hope you're having a fun time too. Zooming out. Cool, and then for burn, I'll show you what I would do here. So click your dodge tool right there and then go down to burn. You can also click the key O. And here are my settings for burn. I am burning on my highlights and my exposure is at 4%. Make that brush bigger. We're just going to blend on the cheeks right here and at the bottom of her face as well. Cool. Nice. And these are all points of interest that I am burning and highlighting. Basically, if you watch like a makeup tutorial, you can kind of see what people want to contour and what they want to highlight. Those are very important things to look up. I highly recommend doing that. That's how I kind of taught myself to dodge and burn. Cool, there we go. See, that's a really nice dodge and burn already. I'm really enjoying it. Cool. I'm going to burn just like the edges of her face just a little bit. That sounds bad. I'm going to burn the edges of her face. I'm not a bad person. I wouldn't do that. Cool. I'm going to burn even down here on her shirt. Nice. Burn her coffee cup. Just anything. You can really dodge and burn this entire image. Cool. And I'm going to show you one other little thing that I like to do. Actually, 2 things I like to do. This is going to be bonus. I'm going to make 2 new layers. So one right there and one right there. On this layer, I'm going to call it lip gloss. And highlight. And this other layer, I'm going to call it, blush. My lip gloss is going to be just the color white. So if you just pick your hue right here, if you're over in the blue, just drag it all the way up to the left. Make sure it's FFFFFFFF. That is the color white. And we're going to zoom in. Click B for your brush tool. And 0% hardness, again, opacity 100. Flow is going to be at 1. Zoom in just a little bit more, and we're going to make this nice kind of like white line on her lips. Cool. A little bit here at Cupid's bow as well on the top of her lip. Dope. Maybe her cheek a little. Give her like a little anime shine. You can zoom out. That anime shine's too much. But there you go, you can see that. I'm going to bring the opacity down to probably like 40% as well. So it's super light. And then for the blush, I'm going to swap colors right here to a nice deep red. And I'm going to just give her a little bit of cheek color. Maybe go around her face just a little bit. Just to add a little bit of red tones to her skin. And there we have it, guys. That is our frequency separation corrections. I am so excited to have done this for you guys. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below, or any other tutorials that you would like me to make. I would love to make them. I do have some full-on entire image editing videos coming to my website, which will be for sale, but I'm trying to keep it basically like 90% free and then 10% for sale, basically. So I want to give a lot of information away, but I also have to bring home that bread. So I hope you guys understand. Anyways, I have a new behind the edit video coming out soon, a new series where I edit your photos called You Shoot, I Edit, as well as some more viewer incorporated videos that are coming out as well. So thank you so much for watching. This was my frequency separation tutorial. Please follow me on Instagram at Miles of Color, everywhere online as well as BB Twee, and thank you so much for watching this